During a recent meeting, a client had asked me, Brian, I'm retiring in less than a year from now. What should I be doing today to make that transition as easy as possible? Today, we're going to talk about 5 things that you should be doing the year before your cross-border retirement. Hi, my name is Brian Haggard. I'm a certified financial planner, chartered financial analyst. I'm the founder of RetireMitten Financial. We help simplify your cross-border retirement plan. And for most of the families that we work with, financially, they're ready to retire, and emotionally, they're ready to retire. But it can be a little bit stressful when you first transition into retirement. When do you retire? How do you tell your boss you're retiring? Where is the money going to come from? Today, we're going to talk about 5 things that you may consider doing in that last year before retirement to make that transition in retirement as smooth as possible. The first thing that we talk to a lot of our clients about, especially in that last year of retirement, is switching to Roth 401k contributions, especially if you're planning on moving back to Canada at some point. And why is it that a lot of our clients will ultimately switch to Roth 401k contributions in their last year of working? For a lot of our clients in that last year of working, they don't work that full year. A lot of people up here in Michigan will retire in March, April timeframe, just in time to enjoy the beautiful weather in the summer. And if that's the case, their income, their taxable income that year tends to go down. And for that reason, moving money into a pre-tax 401k is a little bit less valuable because you're not saving that much on taxes. For a lot of people, if your income is going to go down in that final year of retirement, they're better off switching to Roth 401k contributions. The other thing that you have to be mindful of in that last year of working is, do you want to max out your 401k before you leave? It doesn't matter if you work one day or if you work 365 days in a year, you can still contribute the full amount and max out your 401k contribution for that year. And so, for a lot of our clients, our goal in that last year of working, for a lot of them, they want to try to max out the 401k before they leave. So, our recommendation for a lot of our clients is try to max out the 401k before you retire and try to get that money moved into a Roth 401k, especially if you're going to be retiring earlier in the year. Now, a common theme for a lot of the clients that we work with, if they're going to retire here in the US and they have Canadian accounts, Canadian retirement benefits, is to start drawing the retirement accounts from Canada first, start drawing their income from Canada first as well. And if your strategy is to start withdrawing from your Canadian retirement accounts first, you probably want to start converting your RSPs to RIFs the year prior to retirement. Now, there's a lot of different strategies to withdrawing your Canadian retirement accounts. One strategy is to withdraw all of your Canadian accounts at once and not ever convert those to a RIFs. But a lot of our clients will convert their retirement savings plans into registered income funds in retirement and start drawing an annual amount from those accounts. And if that sounds like the strategy that you're going to implement, you probably want to convert your RSPs to RIFs the year prior to retirement, especially if you want to draw from those RIF accounts in the year that you do retire. And the reason is that most custodians do not allow you to convert an RSP to a RIF and take a withdrawal from the RIF in the same year. Typically, you have to wait until the following year, once the RIF is established, to actually start your withdrawals. So if your plan is to start your RIF withdrawals in the year that you retire, especially if you're going to be retiring earlier in the year, you probably want to start to convert and reach out to your custodian to get those RRSPs converted to RIFs the year before you retire. Now, just like with the RRSPs, for a lot of our cross-border retirees, they also tend to turn on their CPP and their OAS at retirement as well. And if your plan is to turn on your CPP and OAS at retirement, you want to get started sooner rather than later because those benefits can take a while to get started, especially your OAS benefit. If you have less than 20 years of Canadian residency after the age of 18, it can take you 1 to 2 years to get that OAS benefit started. So you want to get started as early as possible with those applications. CPP typically doesn't take as long, but it can still take up to 6 months to get started. So the earlier you start those applications, you can ensure right at retirement those benefits and that income will start for you right away. Now, the nice thing about CPP and OAS is that you can apply up to 11 months prior to those benefits starting. So you have a little bit of time before you actually can, when you apply for those benefits to get started. So apply as early as possible, and you can set a date for those to get started either at your 65th birthday or at retirement. And again, if you are going to collect OAS at retirement, if you're retiring at 65 or 8 later is when OAS can begin, you want to get that benefit started as early as possible. And I typically recommend that a lot of our clients start that process the year prior to retirement. Another planning tip that we suggest for a lot of our clients is to actually take out a home equity line of credit prior to retirement. Now, you may think that that's an odd recommendation to go into debt right before retirement, and that is not the case. We don't want you to have debt if you don't need it in retirement. But there are some benefits of taking out a home equity line of credit prior to retiring, especially if you're thinking about moving or having a big remodel done in those early years of retirement. A lot of our clients do tend to move in those early years of retirement. Maybe they want to be closer to grandkids, maybe they want to move back to Canada. And a home equity line of credit can make that quite a bit easier on you. And let me explain why. Now, a home equity line of credit is a little bit like a credit card. It's a credit on your home, but it doesn't start accruing interest until you actually start charging on it. So, for example, I've had a home equity line of credit for the last 5 years, but I've never actually used it. I just have it in case of emergency. If I were to have a big expense that were to come up, it'd be nice to have that cash flow readily available to me without having to sell any of my investments. And that's the nice thing about a home equity line of credit. If you're thinking about moving in those early years of retirement, it can be pretty hard to try to sell your home and then buy a home all at the same time. So for a lot of people, they like to buy a home first and then have a little bit of time before they actually sell their home and move into that property. And if that's the case, it can be really tough to take a large withdrawal from your retirement accounts all at once for a down payment on that new property. It could be a huge tax hit that you might have to deal with. And so, for a lot of our clients, our recommendation is take out a home equity line of credit now while you're working. And so, down the road, if you are going to move, you can then use the equity of your current property as either a down payment or just to flat out buy the new property. And then when you ultimately do sell your property, you would end up paying off that home equity line of credit. Gives you a little bit more flexibility with cash flow. It can also give you some cash flow flexibility. I have a couple clients that are into some large renovation projects here in retirement. And instead of them taking $200,000 out of an IRA account all at once and having big tax and potentially Medicare penalties, we can put that on their home equity line of credit and then take withdrawals from their retirement accounts over a 2 or 3 year period to pay off that home equity line of credit, which is going to really save them in taxes as well as Medicare penalties. So, one thing that you may consider doing prior to retiring is to take out a home equity line of credit. last thing that you need to be aware of prior to retirement, and you want to start doing research on it sooner rather than later, but you want to make sure that you know all of your health insurance options at retirement. Now, if you're over age 65, that becomes relatively easy. Most of our clients will move on to Medicare as long as they're retiring here in the United States, as long as you qualify for it. So that's a somewhat easy procedure. However, you do want to make sure you know all of the different supplemental plans that are available for you so that you can start doing that research and so that you have a plan prior to retirement. Now, if you're not going on to Medicare before at retirement, if you're retiring prior to 65, there's a lot of options available for you, but none of them may be great options. One option that you probably have available for up to 18 months is Cobra. So in all likelihood, you will be able to maintain your current health insurance that you have for 18 months. However, it can be pretty expensive. This is called Cobra, and you may find that today you might be paying $400 per month for Cobra. That could go up well over 1,000. I currently have a client that's paying over $1,500 a month for Cobra insurance. And you want to be prepared for that, ready for that if you do need to go on to Cobra. Another option that's available for you is the ACA program, which has been great, but unfortunately, with some of the new tax law changes, there may be some cuts available to who may get those and what prices you may be paying for that. And so insurance can be pretty expensive, and you want to know what options you have available to you when you are leaving your work. The other thing that you need to be mindful of is if you're currently contributing or if you have an HSA plan, a health savings account, you need to know what happens to that at retirement. If you are going on to Medicare at retirement, your HSA plan will stop. And unlike a 401k plan, you can't make contributions to an HSA plan if you are not have an HSA eligible plan in retirement. So let's just say, for example, you're going to retire in June. You're going to work 6 months. In the last 6 months, you're going to be retired for the year. If you're moving to a plan that is no longer HSA and Medicare is no longer HSA available, instead of you being able to make a maximum HSA contribution for the year, you can only make a partial HSA contribution for that year. And so for somebody who only works 6 months out of the year, you can only make 6/12 of an actual payment, the maximum that you can contribute that year. And if you go over, you'll ultimately be penalized or have to pay that money back. So you want to be prepared for that prior to that final year that you're working. Again, my name is Brian Haggard. I'm the founder of RetireMitten Financial, and we help simplify your cross-border retirement. If you're planning on retiring here in the next year or two and need some help with a cross-border retirement plan, please reach out to us. You can find our information in the description below, and you can schedule a complimentary consultation with one of our cross-border financial planners. Thanks, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.